Look at me with my voice holding up. This is the fourth one of these in a row I've recorded. I'm open in the summer. I like to hit the beach, and Thursdays I usually do the whole weekend plus Monday's show. Let's start the week with Hitler jokes. Sure, why not? You didn't introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac. I have Hitler jokes for you. Why Hitler jokes? Well, there's a new book called The Divider, Trump in the White House. An excerpt from the book claims that then President Trump complained to his chief of staff, "You effing generals, why can't you be like the German generals?" Trevor Noah said, "That's right. Fox News was out there every day being like, these liberals are so over the top, always comparing Trump to Hitler. Meanwhile, Trump was going, why won't people treat me more like Hitler?" It actually got more alarming. Chief of Staff John Kelly pointed out that Hitler was almost assassinated 3 times by his military leaders, and Trump said, No, they were totally loyal to him. Trevor said, "I don't know why, but I feel like that information didn't change Trump's opinion of the German generals. Knowing Trump, he was probably like, those losers tried to kill Hitler 3 times and they choked like a dog. You know who was able to kill Hitler on the first try? Hitler. It's called leadership, people." Hey, remember Gabriel Iglesias played Dodger Stadium? Well, do you have Netflix? Are you going to be home on October 18th? Have you figured out what the story is yet? Gabe Iglesias, Stadium Fluffy live from LA on Netflix, October 18th. In the special, Gabriel Iglesias talks about growing up in the LA region, a recent attempt at extortion towards him, and where he holds the record for receiving the highest fine on stage. I like this one from Chortle, the headline, "Millennial Comedian Roasts Gen Z." Great clickbait. I clicked on it. The piece is written by comedian Anthony DeVito, who's a good comic who should be on your radar. Anthony DeVito wrote, "Millennial Comedian Roast Gen Z." That headline's not what this piece is really about, but I bet I have your attention. It worked. Somewhere along the way, I became the old guy in the room. About 12 years ago, when I started doing stand-up in New York City, the path to success was drastically different. One toiled away at open mics and prayed to the TV gods for a network late night or Comedy Central set. We were precious about our material. We didn't go public with ideas until they were bulletproof. Cut to today's motto, content first, quality second. Thoughtfulness has taken a backseat to hot takes. I remember being a new face at the 2012 Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal. I was seated in the back of a converted hotel conference room next to a guy with a bushy beard who looked a lot like community creator Dan Harmon. Turns out, it was actually Dan Harmon. We both listened to Patton Oswalt give a keynote address about the state of our industry. I put "our" in quotes because Dan Harmon was in charge of a hit sitcom, and at the time I worked at the Apple Store. Patton was going on about the advent of YouTube and social media eliminating the industry gatekeepers who served as an impenetrable wall between our work and the masses. It felt like the dawn of a new era. I was excited for myself and everyone in my peer group. You know, me and Dan Harmon. But I didn't foresee the downside. No one in that room did. Cut to 10 years later, and the peculiar fruition of Patton's statement becoming true. The positive, we don't need industry gatekeepers anymore. The negative, we've become worse thinkers for the sake of serving an algorithm. As a comedian, most of my Instagram feed is filled with captioned joke clips from my friends. Most of the exclamation point latent titles are meant to grab the scrolling, "Comedian calls grandma a C word on her birthday." I'm not judging. I'm doing my best to keep pace. For days, I avoided mirrors after posting a clip titled, "I have to clean this up." Louis C.K'd. That's my new favorite euphemism. I Louis C.K'd with my mom's fake boob. But man, along the way, have we lost touch on what's actually good comedy? Social media has caused our ideas to become fast and loud, not better. We didn't kill our overlords, we swapped them out. We traded unfeeling guys in suits for an even less feeling internet. We used to be thoughtful. Now controversy is our currency, and there's no turning back. Social media is not going away. Neither is the phenomenon of clickbait material. This isn't a passing storm. This is our new weather system, and it's adapt or die. And by die, I mean to end up a comic with 10 TV credits and a day job, maybe at the Apple Store. Great piece by Anthony DeVito. I was thinking as I record these shows, this is like the longest I've gone in a while without talking about that comedian, rhymes with lapel, and that other one, rhymes with Lavidson. But I did a lot about those guys last week and the numbers were up, so I get the whole we gotta play in the sandbox of what gets the clicks. I feel you, Anthony DeVito. Speaking of Patton Oswalt, writer-director of I Love My Dad, James Morosini, said, "I've been a fan of Patton's for as long as I can remember. I think he has an incredible ability to inject levity into dark subject matter. The guy's a comedic genius, but he also has tremendous heart. And I know those qualities were going to be really important in this character. And man, he's just an incredibly generous artist and collaborator. And it was so fun making this movie with him. The Stranger spoke to Matt Braunger. Hey, Matt, what topics will you never address in your act and why not? Matt said, I don't do a lot of political stuff because I'm not great at it and I end up getting too mad. But I don't think anything's off limits. You can say anything, you just have to make it funny. Here's a rub. Not everybody can pull off a blank joke. I don't know what the blank is. That's not me adding in a blank. I'm guessing penis? Not everyone could pull off a penis joke? That probably sounds right. It's comedy. Funny is paramount. You're trying to be funny, you're trying to be different/edgy. Usually the guys who complain about everybody's too offended these days are the most offended at stuff. From the Hindustan Times, say it with me, your home for comedy news, Veer Das has requested fans don't bring your kids to the show. He says even though parents insist it won't be a problem, he feels uncomfortable doing adult comedy in front of kids. He shared this on Instagram stories. Hey folks, small request. Yesterday, a couple brought a 3-year-old to the show. I get that childcare is super tough to arrange. I appreciate anyone who arranges babysitters, etc. to come out. They said, she won't understand anything, but I'd be uncomfortable what I say in front of a child on the off chance the kid understood even a word. The audience would be uncomfortable laughing at it too. These are small rooms full of adults, and stand-up shows are no place for a kid. The Fringe Festival, in fact, offers hundreds of amazing shows for kids, some of which I'm going to see too. So I appreciate you wanting to come to see me. I wouldn't feel right doing material. Hope that's all right, and I see you at a show soon. Thanks, V. There is a new episode of The Weekly Comedy Thing, and that is the show I host for the Live One service. That app is free. Download it for free, and then type in Weekly Comedy Thing, and you'll find me. And on the Weekly Comedy Thing, I tell you stories about comedians. You know how that sounds, except over there, the stories are much shorter, and I actually play the comedy bit. The Weekly Comedy Thing on the Live One app. It's all free. Check it out. There are also streaming comedy stations where we play stand-up comedian clips. You apparently like comedy if you're still listening. One way you can support the show is you can go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. You can throw a couple bucks in the tip jar. I will take your money. I will go to the National Donuts chain. I won't make eye contact with other humans. I'll walk straight to the right side where the counter is, and I'll look for a cup that says John M. on it, and I will take my iced coffee that you paid for, and I will get back in my car and listen to the podcast. Yes, that is my morning routine. I QC the show in the morning to make sure I didn't blow an edit or upload the wrong file. So I drive to the National Donuts chain. I usually get to right around where the commercial break is. I'm in the parking lot, hit pause, run in, get my coffee, describe that process to you already, get back in the car, listen to the second half of the show. From Chortle, comedian Marjolaine Robertson has called out a man for making the grossest sexual heckle that made her feel horrible. This happened during her Fringe show. On social media, Marjolaine explained, today I was doing my Fringe show, and there's a certain part where I asked someone to imagine a landmark of a city of their choice, and then I guess it, and I work with this audience member, and the bit went well, but then we moved on to another part of the show, and they piped up voluntarily, and this man was saying, I didn't actually imagine Rome, I was actually imagining you naked. It was horrible, and the whole room was like, ugh. I always wondered what I'd do with a bad heckler comic, and I was quite proud of myself in the moment. I just verbally took him right down while making the room laugh. But at the time, it was horrible. No matter how far you make it as a woman in comedy and making the room laugh and having the gig in your hands, when you get a crappy comic like that, it makes you feel dirty. Don't be a heckler, don't be a creep, and don't view a woman at her work as your misguided sexual fantasy. Will Dugan's show at Fringe is called Iceberg. Sean McCarthy, his website is The Comics Comic. He's been posting these reviews I've been cribbing off. He gave Will Dugan's Iceberg 3 stars out of 5. Sean McCarthy writes, Will Duggan is angry that the world might be ending in his lifetime, angry that his talents might not have much practical use in a post-apocalyptic society. Can I talk about that? I always talk about that. My friend Rory, he's handy. He knows how to build stuff. My friend John is a mechanic. He can keep your engine going. My wife's a doctor. And I talking to a USB microphone about comedians. When the apocalypse happens, I'm totally passing myself off as a priest because I have no skills. I'll be like, hey, yeah, remember back before the end times, Patton Oswalt was in a movie? Sean McCarthy writes, Duggan is still figuring out his way out of his personal darkness, and through this hour, I'd surmise that once he plumbs the depths a bit more, he'll find what could truly make this show swim and not sink. Will Duggan, Iceberg, at the Pleasance Courtyard Cellar through August 28th. And that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your shows, and I'll see you tomorrow.